Good morning. Mackenzie Johnston with Tri-State Livestock News, bringing you your Tuesday morning headlines concerning fair cattle markets. Sponsored by Sandhills Beef Company. Freedom is a choice, and you have the choice to buy from an American rancher. America First. Jacob says stay tuned for americafirst.business. Until then, head on over to their website, sandhillsbeefco.com, to learn about everything that Sandhills Beef Company has to offer. Also sponsored by RCAF USA, fighting for the independent American cattle rancher. If that fight is important to you, please consider supporting the RCAF rollover fundraiser today at Atkinson Livestock Market up in Atkinson, Nebraska. For more details on this, head on over to RCAF's Facebook page. Tri-State Livestock News has reported that Representative Sebastian Ertelt of Libsyn, North Dakota, has introduced a bill in the North Dakota House of Representatives that would make the state beef checkoff voluntary. In 2015, North Dakota cattle producers who supported the checkoff's promotion, research, and education efforts came together with the idea of adding a new refundable dollar to the mandatory $1 per head national checkoff. The bill was enacted that year, back in 2015, in North Dakota's Legislative Assembly to require all cattle sold in North Dakota or sold by a North Dakotan to pay an extra $1 per head to the North Dakota Beef Commission. North Dakota sale barns are required to withhold these funds from producers' checks, and producers who sell private treaty are required to submit payment to the Beef Commission. Currently, producers can request the proper form within 60 days of payment, send the form with the appropriate additional paperwork required, and then their checkoff funds will then be refunded. House Bill 1487 would make a basic change to the law. Instead of the law stating that producers must remit the state checkoff, Ertelt's bill would amend the law to say that producers may remit the payment. This successfully changes the mandatory refundable checkoff dollar into a voluntary checkoff program. According to Independent Beef Association North Dakota President Carrie Doctor, many producers still do not realize that this money is being taken out of their cattle checks. Doctor and his organization support the proposed bill to amend the law. He doesn't believe that the state checkoff funds are being used wisely because cattle prices have not increased and alternative proteins are gaining popularity. According to the North Dakota Beef Commission website, the State Beef Council took in almost $2.3 million in fiscal year 2020. This includes the mandatory $1 per head federal beef checkoff and the mandatory refundable $1 per head state beef checkoff. In a 2015 interview, North Dakota Stockmen's Association Executive Vice President Julie Ellingson said that her association's members support the state checkoff because they believe cattle producers in their state are missing out on opportunities to fund research and education. To learn more about this situation and to read the whole article, go ahead and click on the link above in the caption. Feedstuffs has reported that various agricultural groups worked hard to make significant tax policy advances for agriculture in the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, but now that the Democrats have control, those efforts may all go out the window. In the last couple of congressional sessions, Republicans enacted business-friendly policies, but going forward, Democrats will most likely focus more on raising taxes on those with a high net worth and businesses. For farmers and ranchers, the key issue will be how the Democrats' tax policy addresses the estate tax and capital gains taxes on how much capital changes hands at death, as well as how farm businesses are set up. The increased federal estate tax exclusion of $11.7 million for married couples and 40% tax are set to expire at the end of 2025. After that time, the federal estate tax exclusion amount will be turned back to $5 million. According to Pat Wolf, Senior Director of Congressional Relations at the American Farm Bureau Federation, Democrats would like to shrink this exemption as far down as $3.5 million. Roger McCowan, professor of agricultural law and taxation at Washburn University School of Law in Topeka, Kansas, said that when you combine the exemption suggestions with proposed stepped-up basis changes, you create a massive problem that will affect just about every farming and ranching operation. Even though President Biden promised no tax increase for those who earn less than $400,000, which we heard time and time again, McCowan says that this is a misrepresentation and misleading sleight of the hand. At the end of the year, rates are less important than profitability. Rates may not go up on taxable incomes beneath that threshold, but farmers and ranchers worry about increased costs due to regulation and taxes other than just income taxes. Step up in basis reduces capital gains tax liability on property passed down to an heir by excluding any appreciation in the property's value that occurred during the descendant's lifetime from taxation. If you don't get that step-up basis, even a fairly small farming or ranching operation, let's say around $500,000 in worth, could see the effective combined federal and state capital gain tax rate of 25 to 30%, explained McCowan. He added that step-up basis has been a savior for farmers and ranchers as well as businesses in transition planning. Wolf closed by saying that the main priorities when it comes to agriculture is making sure tax policy continues to create a profitable environment for producers, and tax policies need to be in place that allow for the transfer from one generation to the next. This tax plan by Biden is downright scary and worrisome, and it's not just agriculture we're talking about. We're talking about small businesses. I mean, the devastating impact that this will have, it's hard to wrap your mind around. Finally, National Beef Wire has reported that yesterday, choice box beef ended the day at $226.73. That was up $3.91, quite the jump. And select box beef ended the day at $216.21, and that was up $2.87. That is all I have for you guys this morning. I hope everyone's week is going well, and I hope you are staying warm. I hope you didn't get very much snow. I think we ended up with right around 4 to 5 inches, so it wasn't that bad, but it is quite chilly out. Have yourself a terrific Tuesday, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning.